In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. The Noble Qur'an, Part 30, starting with Surah 78, Surah An-Naba, Surah titled The News. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. About what are they asking one another? About the great news, that over which they are in disagreement? No, they are going to know. Then no, they are going to know. Have we not made the earth a resting place, and the mountains as stakes, and we created you in pairs, and made your sleep a means for rest, and made the night as clothing, and made the day for livelihood, and constructed above you 7 strong heavens, and made therein a burning lamp, and sent down from the rain clouds pouring water, that we may bring forth thereby grain and vegetation, and gardens of entwined growth. Surely the day of judgment is an appointed time. The day the horn is blown, and you will come forth in multitudes, and the heaven is opened, and will become gateways, and the mountains are removed, and will be but a mirage. Surely hell has been lying in wait for the transgressors, a place of return, in which they will remain for ages. They will not taste therein any coolness or drink, except scalding water and foul pus, an appropriate recompense. Surely they were not expecting an account, and denied our verses with emphatic denial. But all things we have enumerated in writing, so taste the penalty, and never will we increase you except in torment. Surely for the righteous is attainment, gardens and grapevines, and full-breasted companions of equal age, and a full cup. No ill speech will they hear therein, or any falsehood. As reward from your Master, a generous gift made due by account. From the Master of the heavens and the earth and whatever is in between them, the most merciful. They possess not from him authority for speech. The day that the Spirit, that is Gabriel, and the angels will stand in rows, they will not speak except for one whom the most merciful permits, and he will say what is correct. That is the true day, so he who wills may take to his Master a way of return. Surely we have warned you of a near punishment on the day when a man will observe what his hands have put forth, and the disbeliever will say, "Oh, I wish that I were dust." Surah 79, Surah An-Nazi'at, Surah titled The Extractors. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By those angels who extract with violence, and by those who remove with ease, and by those who glide as if swimming, and those who race each other in a race, and those who arrange each matter. On the day the blast of the horn will convulse creation, there will follow it the subsequent one. Hearts that day will tremble, their eyes humbled. They are presently saying, will we surely be returned to our former state of life, even if we should be decayed bones? They say that then would be a losing return. Surely it will be but one shout, and suddenly they will be alert upon the earth's surface. Has there reached you the story of Moses, when his master called to him the sacred valley of Duhaa? Go to Pharaoh, surely he has transgressed, and say to him, would you be willing to purify yourself, and let me guide you to your master so you would fear him? And he showed him the greatest sign, but he, that is Pharaoh, denied and disobeyed. Then he turned his back, striving, and he gathered his people and called out and said, I am your most exalted Lord. So Allah seized him in exemplary punishment for the last and the first transgression. Surely in that is a lesson for whoever would fear Allah. Are you a more difficult creation, or is the heaven? He, that is Allah, constructed it. He raised its ceiling and proportioned it, and He darkened its night and extracted its brightness. And after that He spread the earth. He extracted from it its water and its pasture, and the mountains He set firmly, as enjoyment for you and your grazing livestock. But when there comes the greatest overwhelming calamity, the day when man will remember that for which he strove, and hellfire will be exposed for all those who see. So as for he who transgressed and preferred the life of the world, then surely hellfire will be his refuge. But as for he who feared the position of his master and prevented the soul from unlawful inclination, then surely paradise will be his refuge. They ask you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, about the hour. When is its arrival? In what position are you that you should mention it? To your master is its finality. You are only a warner for those who fear it. It will be on the day they see it as though they had not remained in the world except for an afternoon or a morning thereof. Surah 80, Surah Abasa, Surah titled He Frowned. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. He, that is the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, frowned and turned away, because there came to him the blind man. But what would make you perceive, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, that perhaps he might be purified, or be reminded, and the remembrance would benefit him? As for he who thinks himself without need, to him you give attention, and not upon you is any blame if he will not be purified. But as for he who came to you striving for knowledge, while he fears Allah, from him you are distracted? No, surely they, that is these verses, are a reminder. So whoever wills may remember it. It is recorded in honored sheets, exalted and purified, carried by the hands of messenger angels, noble and dutiful. Destroyed is man, how disbelieving is he? From what thing did he create him? From a sperm drop he created him and destined for him. Then he eased the way for him. Then he causes his death and provides a grave for him. Then when he wills, he will resurrect him. No, he, that is man, has not yet accomplished what he commanded him. Then let mankind look at his food, how we poured down water in torrents. Then we broke upon the earth, splitting, and caused to grow within it grain, and grapes and herbage, and olive and palm trees, and gardens of dense shrubbery, and fruit and grass, as enjoyment for you and your grazing livestock. But when there comes the deafening blast, on the day a man will flee from his brother, and his mother and his father, and his wife and his children. For every man that day will be a matter adequate for him. Some faces that day will be bright, laughing, rejoicing at good news. And other faces that day will have upon them dust. Blackness will cover them. Those are the disbelievers, the wicked ones. Surah 81, Surah At-Takwīr, Surah titled The Wrapping. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. When the sun is wrapped up in darkness, and when the stars fall dispersing, and when the mountains are removed, and when full-term she-camels are neglected, and when the wild beasts are gathered, and when the seas are filled with flame, and when the souls are paired, and when the girl who was buried alive is asked for what sin she was killed, and when the pages are spread, and when the sky is stripped away, and when hellfire is set ablaze, and when paradise is brought near, a soul will then know what it has brought forth. So I swear by the retreating stars, those that run their courses and disappear, and by the night as it closes in, and by the dawn when it breathes, that surely it, that is this Qur'an, is a word conveyed by a noble messenger, that is Gabriel, who is possessed of power and with the owner of the throne secure in position, obeyed there in the heavens and trustworthy, and your companion, that is Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is not at all mad, and he has already seen him, that is Gabriel, in the clear horizon. And he, that is Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is not a withholder of knowledge of the unseen. And it, that is the Qur'an, is not the word of a devil expelled from the heavens. So where are you going? It is not except a reminder to the worlds, for whoever wills amongst you to take a right course, and you do not will except that Allah wills, Master of the worlds. Surah 82, Surah Al-Infitar, Surah titled The Breaking Apart. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. When the sky breaks apart, and when the stars fall, scattering, and when the seas are erupted, and when the contents of graves are scattered, a soul will then know what it has put forth and kept back. O mankind, what has deceived you concerning your Master, the Generous, who created you, proportioned you, and balanced you? In whatever form He willed, He has assembled you. No, but you deny the recompense, and surely appointed over you are keepers, noble in recording. They know whatever you do. Surely the righteous will be in pleasure, and surely the wicked will be in the hellfire. They will enter to burn therein on the day of recompense, and never therefrom will they be absent. And what can make you know what is the day of recompense? Then what can make you know what is the day of recompense? It is the day when a soul will not possess for another soul power to do a thing, and the command that day is entirely with Allah. Surah 83, Surah Al-Muṭaffifīn, Surah titled Those Who Give Less. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Woe to those who give less than due, who, when they take a measure from people, take in full. But if they give by measure or by weight to them, they cause loss. Do they not think that they will be resurrected for a tremendous day, the day when mankind will stand before the Master of the worlds? No, surely the record of the wicked is in Sijjin. And what can make you know what is Sijjin? It is their destination recorded in a register inscribed. Woe that day to the deniers who deny the day of recompense. And none deny it except every sinful transgressor. When our verses are recited to him, he says legends of the former people. No, rather the stain has covered their hearts of that which they were earning. No, surely from their Master that day they will be partitioned. Then surely they will enter and burn in hellfire. Then it will be said to them, this is what you used to deny. No, surely the record of the righteous is in Illiyun. And what can make you know what is Illiyun? It is their destination recorded in a register inscribed. which is witnessed by those brought near to Allah. Surely the righteous will be in pleasure, on adorned couches observing. You will recognize in their faces the radiance of pleasure. They will be given to drink pure wine, which was sealed. The last of it is musk. So for this let the competitors compete, and its mixture is of tasneem, a spring from which those near to Allah drink. Surely those who committed crimes used to laugh at those who believed, and when they passed by them, they would exchange scornful glances. And when they returned to their people, they would return jesting. And when they saw them, they would say, surely those are truly lost. But they had not been sent as guardians over them. So today, those who believed are laughing at the disbelievers, on adorned couches, observing. Have the disbelievers not been rewarded this day for what they used to do? Surah 84, Surah Al-Inshiqaq. Surah titled The Splitting Open. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. When the sky has split open and has listened to its master and was obligated to do so, and when the earth has been extended and has cast out that within it and relinquished it, and has listened, that is responded to its master and was obligated to do so. O mankind, surely you are laboring towards your master with great exertion and will meet it. Then as for he who is given his record in his right hand, he will be judged with an easy account and return to his people in happiness. But as for he who is given his record behind his back, he will cry out for destruction and enter to burn in a blaze. Surely he had once been amongst his people in happiness. Surely he had thought he would never return to Allah. But yes, surely his master was ever of him seeing. So I swear by the twilight aglow, and by the night and what it envelopes, and by the moon when it becomes full, that you will surely embark upon state after state. So what is the matter with them that they do not believe? And when the Qur'an is recited to them, they do not prostrate. But those who have disbelieved deny, and Allah is most knowing of what they keep within themselves. So give them tidings of a painful punishment. Except for those who believe and do righteous deeds, for them is a reward uninterrupted. Surah 85, Surah Al-Buruj, Surah titled The Great Stars. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the sky containing great stars, and by the promised day, and by the witness and what is witnessed. Destroyed were the companions of the trench containing the fire full of fuel, when they were sitting near it, and they, to what they were doing against the believers, were witnesses. And they resented them not except because they believed in Allah, the exalted in might, the praiseworthy, to whom belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and Allah over all things is witness. Surely those who have tortured the believing men and believing women, and then have not repented, will have the punishment of hell, and they will have the punishment of the burning fire. Surely those who have believed and done righteous deeds will have gardens beneath which rivers flow. That is the great attainment. Surely the assault of your master is severe. Surely it is he who originates creation and repeats. And he is the forgiving, the affectionate, honorable owner of the throne, effector of what he intends. Has there reached you the story of the soldiers, those of Pharaoh and Thamud? But they who disbelieve are in persistent denial, while Allah encompasses them from behind. But this is an honored Qur'an, inscribed in a preserved slate. Surah 86, Surah At-Ṭariq. Surah titled That Which Comes at Night. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the sky and the night comer, and what can make you know what is the night comer? It is the piercing star. There is no soul but that it has over it a protector. So let man observe from what he was created. He was created from a fluid, ejected, emerging from between the backbone and the ribs. Surely he, that is Allah, to return him to life is able. The day when secrets will be put on trial, then he, that is man, will have no power or any helper. By the sky which returns rain, and by the earth which cracks open, surely it, that is this Qur'an, is a decisive statement, and it is not amusement. Surely they are planning a plan, but I am planning a plan. So allow time for the disbelievers, leave them a while. Surah 87, Surah Al-A'la, Surah titled The Most High. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Exalt the name of your Master, the Most High, who created and proportioned, and who destined and then guided, and who brings out the pasture, and then makes it black stubble. We will make you recite, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and you will not forget, except what Allah should will. Surely He knows what is declared and what is hidden, and we will ease you towards ease. So remind if the reminder should benefit. He who fears Allah will be reminded, but the wretched one will avoid it. he who will enter and burn in the greatest fire, neither dying therein nor living. He has certainly succeeded who purifies himself and mentions the name of his master in praise. But you prefer the worldly life, while the hereafter is better and more enduring. Surely this is in the former scriptures, the scriptures of Abraham and Moses. Surah 88, Surah Al-Ghashiyah, Surah titled The Overwhelming. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Has there reached you the report of the overwhelming event? Some faces that day will be humbled, working hard and exhausted. They will enter to burn in an intensely hot fire. They will be given drink from a boiling spring. For them there will be no food except from a poisonous thorny plant, which neither nourishes nor avails against hunger. Other faces that day will show pleasure. With their effort they are satisfied, in an elevated garden, wherein they will hear no unsuitable speech. Within it is a flowing spring. Within it are couches raised high, and cups put in place, and cushions lined up, and carpets spread around. Then do they not look at the camels, how they are created, and at the sky, how it is raised, and at the mountains, how they are erected, and at the earth, how it is spread out? So remind, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. You are only a reminder. You are not over them a controller. However, he who turns away and disbelieves, then Allah will punish him with the greatest punishment. Surely to us is their return, then surely upon us is their account. Surah 89, Surah Al-Fajr, Surah titled The Dawn. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the dawn and by the 10 nights, and by the even number and the odd, and by the night when it passes. Is there not in all that an oath sufficient for one of perception? Have you not considered how your master dealt with Ad, with Iram, who had lofty pillars, the likes of whom had never been created in the land, and with Thamud, who carved out the rocks in the valley, and with Pharaoh, owner of the stakes, all of whom oppressed within the lands, and increased therein the corruption. So your master poured upon them a scourge of punishment. Surely your master is in observation. And as for man, when his master tries him and thus is generous to him and favors him, he says, my master has honored me. But when he tries him and restricts his provision, he says, my master has humiliated me. No, but you do not honor the orphan, and you do not encourage one another to feed the poor, and you consume inheritance, devouring it altogether, and you love wealth with immense love. No, when the earth has been leveled, pounded and crushed, and your master has come and the angels, rank upon rank, and brought within view, that day is hell. That day man will remember. But how, what good to him will be the remembrance? He will say, oh, I wish I had sent ahead some good of my life. So on that day none will punish as severely as his punishment, and none will bind as severely as his binding. To the righteous it will be said, O reassured soul, return to your master, well pleased and pleasing to him, and enter amongst my righteous servants, and enter my paradise. Surah 90, Surah Al-Balad, Surah titled The City. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. I swear by the city, that is the city of Mecca. And you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, are free of restriction in the city. And by the Father and that which was born of him, we have certainly created man into hardship. Does he think that never will anyone overcome him? He says, I have spent wealth in abundance. Does he think that no one has seen him? Have we not made for him 2 eyes, and a tongue, and 2 lips, and have shown him the 2 ways? But he has not broken through the difficult paths. And what can make you know what is breaking through the difficult paths? It is the freeing of a slave, or feeding on a day of severe hunger, an orphan of near relationship, or a needy person in misery, and then being amongst those who believed and advised one another to patience, and advised one another to compassion. Those are the companions of the right. But they who disbelieved in our signs, those are the companions of the left. Over them will be fire closed in. Surah 91, Surah Ash-Shams, Surah titled The Sun. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the sun and its brightness, and by the moon when it follows it, and by the day when it displays it, and by the night when it covers it, and by the sky and he who constructed it, and by the earth and he who spread it, and by the soul and he who proportioned it, and inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness. He has succeeded who purifies it, and he has failed who instills it with corruption. Thamud denied their prophet by reason of their transgression, when the most wretched of them was sent forth, and the messenger of Allah, that is Salih, peace and blessings be upon him, said to them, "Do not harm the she-camel of Allah or prevent her from her drink." But they denied him and hamstruck her. So their master brought down upon them destruction for their sin and made it equal upon all of them. And he does not fear the consequence thereof. Surah 92, Surah Al-Layl, Surah titled The Night. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the night when it covers, and by the day when it appears, and by He who created the male and the female. Surely your efforts are diverse. As for he who gives and fears Allah and believes in the best reward, we will ease him towards ease. But as for he who withholds and considers himself free of need and denies the best reward, we will ease him towards difficulty. And what will his wealth avail him when he falls? Surely incumbent upon us is guidance, and surely to us belongs the hereafter and the first life. So I have warned you of a fire which is blazing. None will enter to burn therein except the most wretched one, who has denied and turned away, but the righteous one will avoid it, he who gives from his wealth to purify himself, and not giving for anyone who has done him a favor to be rewarded, but only seeking the countenance of his Master Most High, and he is going to be satisfied. Surah 93, Surah Ad-Duhaa, Surah titled The Morning Brightness. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the morning brightness, and by the night when it covers with darkness, your Master has not taken leave of you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, nor has he detested you, and the hereafter is better for you than the first life, and your Master is going to give you, and you will be satisfied. Did he not find you an orphan and give you refuge, and he found you lost and guided you, and he found you poor and made you self-sufficient? So as for the orphan, do not oppress him, and as for the petitioner, do not repel him, but as for the favor of your Master, report it. Surah 94, Surah Ash-Sharh, Surah titled The Expansion. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Did we not expand for you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, your breast, and we removed from you your burden, which had weighed upon your back, and raised high for you your repute? For surely with hardship will be ease. Surely with hardship will be ease. So when you have finished your duties, then stand up for worship, and to your Master direct your longing. Surah 95, Surah At-Tīn, Surah titled The Fig. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the fig and the olive, and by Mount Sinai, and by this secure city that is by Mecca, we have certainly created man in the best of stature. Then we returned him to the lowest of the low, except for those who believe and do righteous deeds, for they will have a reward uninterrupted. So what yet causes you to deny the recompense? Is not Allah the most just of judges? Surah 96, Surah Al-Alaq, Surah titled The Clinging Substance. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Recite in the name of your Master who created man from a clinging substance. Recite, and your Master is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man that which he knew not. No, but surely man transgresses, because he sees himself self-sufficient. Surely to your Master is the return. Have you seen the one who forbids a servant when he prays? Have you seen if he is upon guidance or enjoins righteousness? Have you seen if he denies and turns away? Does he not know that Allah sees? No, if he does not desist, we will surely drag him by the forelock, a lying, sinning forelock. Then let him call his associates. We will call the angels of hell. No, do not obey him, but prostrate and draw nearer to Allah. Surah 97, Surah Al-Qadr, Surah titled The Decree. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Surely we sent it, that is this Qur'an, down during the night of the decree. And what can make you know what is the night of decree? The night of decree is better than 1,000 months. The angel and the spirit, that is Gabriel, descend therein by permission of their Master for every matter. Peace it is until the emergence of dawn. Surah 98, Surah Al-Bayyinah, Surah titled The Clear Evidence. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Those who disbelieved amongst the people of the scripture and the polytheists were not to be parted from misbelief until there came to them clear evidence, a messenger from Allah reciting purified scriptures within which are correct writings. Nor did those who were given the scripture become divided until after there had come to them clear evidence. And they were not commanded except to worship Allah, being sincere to Him in religion, inclining to truth, and to establish prayer and to give zakah, and that is the correct religion. Surely those who disbelieved amongst the people of the scripture and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell, abiding eternally therein. Those are the worst of creatures. Surely They who have believed and done righteous deeds, those are the best of creatures. Their reward with Allah will be gardens of perpetual residence beneath which rivers flow, wherein they will abide forever, Allah being pleased with them and they with Him. That is for whoever has feared his master. Surah 99, Surah Az-Zalzala, Surah titled The Earthquake, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. When the earth is shaken with its final earthquake, and the earth discharges its burdens, and man says, "What is wrong with it?" That day it will report its news, because your master has inspired it. That day the people will depart, separated to be shown the result of their deeds. So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. Surah 100, Surah Al-Adiyat, Surah titled The Racers, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By the racers panting and the producers of sparks when striking, and the chargers at dawn, stirring up thereby clouds of dust, arriving thereby in the center collectively. Surely mankind to his master is ungrateful, and surely he is to that a witness, and surely he is in love of wealth intense. But does he not know that when the contents of the graves are scattered, and that within the breasts is obtained, surely their master with them that day is fully acquainted. Surah 101, Surah Al-Qari'ah, Surah titled The Striking Calamity. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. The striking calamity. What is the striking calamity? And what can make you know what is the striking calamity? It is the day when people will be like moths dispersed, and the mountains will be like wool fluffed up. Then as for one whose scales are heavy with good deeds, he will be in a pleasant life. But as for one whose scales are light, his refuge will be in abyss. And what can make you know what that is? It is a fire, intensely hot. Surah 102, Surah At-Takwīr, Surah titled Competition and Increase. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Competition and worldly increase diverts you until you visit the graveyards. No, you are going to know. Then no, you are going to know. No, if you only knew with knowledge of certainty, you will surely see the hellfire. Then you will surely see it with the eye of certainty. Then you will surely be asked that day about pleasure. Surah 103, Surah Al-Asr, Surah titled Time. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. By time, surely mankind is in loss, except for those who have believed and done righteous deeds, and advised each another towards truth, and advised each another towards patience. Surah 104, Surah Al-Humazah, Surah titled The Scorner. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Woe to every scorner and mocker, who collects wealth and continuously counts it. He thinks that his wealth will make him immortal? No, he will surely be thrown into the crusher. And what can make you know what is the crusher? It is the fire of Allah, eternally fueled, which mounts directed at the hearts. Surely it, that is the hellfire, will be closed down upon them in extended columns. Surah 105, Surah Al-Fil, Surah titled The Elephant. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Have you not considered, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, how your master dealt with the companions of the elephant? Did he not make their plan into misguidance? And he sent them birds in flocks, striking them with stones of hard clay, and he made them like eaten straw. Surah 106, Surah Al-Quraysh, Surah titled The Tribe of Quraysh. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. For the accustomed security of the Quraysh, their accustomed security in the caravan of winter and summer, let them worship the master of this house, who has fed them, saving them from hunger, and made them safe, saving them from fear. Surah 107, Surah Al-Ma'un, Surah titled The Assistance. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Have you seen the one who denies the recompense? For that is the one who drives away the orphan, and does not encourage the feeding of the poor. So woe to those who pray, but who are heedless of their prayer, those who make show of their deeds, and withhold simple assistance. Surah 108, Surah Al-Kawthar, Surah titled The Most Abundant Good. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Surely we have granted you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the most abundant good. So pray to your master and sacrifice to him alone. Surely your enemy is the one cut off. Surah 109, Surah Al-Kafirun, Surah titled The Disbelievers. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Say, O disbelievers, I do not worship what you worship, nor are you worshippers of what I worship. nor will I be a worshipper of what you worship, nor will you be worshippers of what I worship. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. Surah 110, Surah An-Nasr, Surah titled The Victory, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. When the victory of Allah has come in the conquest, and you see the people entering into the religion of Allah in multitudes, then exalt him with praise of your master and ask forgiveness of him. Surely he is ever accepting of repentance. Surah 111, Surah Al-Masad, Surah titled The Fiber, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. May the hands of Abu Lahab be ruined, and ruined is he. His wealth will not avail him or that which he gained. He will enter to burn in a fire of blazing flame, and his wife as well, the carrier of firewood. Around her neck is a rope of twisted fiber. Surah 112, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah titled The Purification of Faith, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Say, He is Allah who is one, Allah the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor is born, nor is there to him any equivalent. Surah 113, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah titled The Daybreak, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Say, I seek refuge in the Master of the daybreak, from the evil of that which He created, and from the evil of darkness when it settles, and from the evil of the blowers in knots, and from the evil of an envier when he envies. Surah 114, Surah An-Nas, Surah titled Mankind, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Say, I seek refuge in the Master of mankind, the Sovereign of mankind, the God of mankind, from the evil of the retreating whisperer, who whispers evil into the breasts of mankind, from amongst the jinn and mankind.